So it is my pleasure to welcome Professor Maximilian Röglinger for this discussion on the general topic Beyond Digital. Max is from the University of Bayreuth, where he holds the chair for Business and Information Systems Engineering and Value-Based Business Process Management. And he's from the Fraunhofer FIT, specifically the project group Business and Information Systems Engineering, where he has a leading role. So Max, you're a researcher working on digital transformation, and you support and consult many companies regarding their digital transformation. And now recently you conducted a study with the title, What's Beyond Digital? Why did you do so? I mean, many companies have not yet implemented their digital agenda. Why should one already think about what comes after the current wave of digitalization?
So first of all, Henna, thanks for the nice introduction and for having me today. Actually, this is quite a good question. I think the key idea is that the world is continued to move. So, of course, many companies are still engaged in either defining their digital agenda or executing it. But we have to acknowledge that technological progress doesn't stop. There are a lot of emerging technologies far at the end of the horizon that will shape how individuals behave, how organizations need to be organized in the far future. And considering this high and even more increasing speed, there are a lot of things that you should already start thinking about. This does not mean that you have to implement them right now. Of course, you are quite busy with executing your current digital agenda, but there are things far on the horizon that you have to keep an eye on.
Okay, so as a researcher, you probably had a structured approach to come to an answer on what's beyond the current wave of digitalization. But how did you proceed in that? How did you try to answer this question?
Yeah, this is quite a good question because normally when you do research, you have quite a well-defined research method and lots of data you can collect, or you can also do field research. But for us, it was quite challenging to find out which things are far on the horizon. And we did the following. So first of all, we tried to find out and to identify experts, both from academia and from industry. And experts for us means people whom we know are rather future looking and do research and have a practical experience in making up their thoughts about what is happening in the future. So this was the first part. So we conducted a couple of semi-structured interviews with experts from industry and academia. And after that, to be honest, we had to make up our mind on our own. So we were very happy to have the CIO of a technology company, internationally acting technology company in our team, and this was quite a good sparring, and that's why we arrived with a couple of theses and concrete results regarding the future.
Okay. Yeah, I see that especially for such a topic so close to industry, it's important to have a mixed team from industry and academia. And so let's get into some of the theses, some of the propositions you found out. And for the listeners here, they are structured in different areas, like on the individual, on technology, on organizations, and so on. But let's start with us as individuals, individual humans. I mean, definitely we will change. I think we already saw that in the last years that our behavior, our preferences, our experiences, and so on change with the current level of digitalization. But then one of your specific propositions on this individual level is that we will demand orchestrated experience. So what do you mean by orchestrated experience, and what does it mean?
Yeah, so in former times, we've been talking about products and services. And in the recent past, we've started to talk about experience, specifically customer experience, means what is really important for customers, what are the memorable moments for customers, and what makes them really happy. And what we could see is that today, many companies are thinking in terms of isolated experiences, meaning the experience created by their products and services. But for customers in the future, for individuals in the future, this will not be enough. Yeah, for example, if you want to buy a house, it's not only important for you to get this house delivered somehow. What you want to have is an integrated end-to-end experience, meaning that you get from the same person. We call these persons experience orchestrators. That you get from these persons the loan offering, the building, also additional services, and this is what we mean by integrated experience or orchestrated experiences.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'm just in the process of buying a house, and I
know. That's why
love
I
to
choose
have
the
an
example.
integrated, orchestrated experience on that. Anyhow, not to talk about the house anymore. Another of your propositions is on the individual level that we will have trusted digital twins. And now a digital twin is a wording which we know from Industry 4.0, smart industry, not regularly on the individual level, on the personal level. So what do you mean there was a trusted digital twin? What could it offer me?
Yeah. So first of all, let's start with the notion of a digital twin in the industrial area. You know, in the sense of the Internet of Things, we have machines that are connected to the internet, connected to the cloud somehow. Yes, and also that machines that have the capability to do self-dependent decisions. And the key idea of a digital twin is that you have an entirely digital representation of a real world thing. Yes, like a machine, or in the private area, like a toothbrush or things like that. And the idea is that the digital twin contains a lot of data relevant to the physical thing that can be accessed by anybody from the internet through the cloud. Yes, of course, using standardized API and privacy preserving and things like that. And that's how digital twin is defined in the industrial area. So when we get to this notion of individual digital twin, actually the idea was to convey the basic principles of the already existing notion to the individual area. Means that you and me as individuals, we have a lot of data. You have an Amazon account, most probably. You also have, from a governmental perspective, there is data about you, for example, about your tax declaration and things like that. And if you look at the situation today, you have lots of data about yourself scattered all around the world and stored at very different places. And the idea was to say that you, as an individual, you also have a digital twin where all your relevant personal data is stored in a unique place, and you can define who can access this, who has which access rights. And our opinion is that in the economy of the future, it will be important for you to have such kind of trusted digital twin in order to engage in services, in products, in all these kind of orchestrated experiences.
Yeah, okay, I see. And there's an interrelation between these different propositions as you just linked it back to the orchestrated experience.
Yeah, definitely, most definitely.
Yeah. And the trusted part is certainly important in that digital twin, because otherwise you wouldn't allow it to be your twin to get all your data.
And because Hannah, to be honest, because you cannot manage everything on your own. If you consider, for example, medical services, actually you don't know. Yes, what data needs to be shared about you in order for the physician to make a realistic diagnosis, for example. So if you trust the physician, yeah, it would be good to grant him the right for a certain period of time or for a certain subdomain of your personal data to access this in order to provide his services appropriately.
Yeah. And thereby having this integrated data storage in the digital twin, not the scattered different accounts I have and all the paper-based information which we still have and so on. So, I mean, coming back to your point on the experience, that would be a great experience not to have the hassle of finding out the different passwords, data storage, interface problems, and so on.
Yes.
Okay, so let's continue with talking a little more about technology. I mean, we've already seen in the last years that technology pervades our economy and society, and you suggest that this trend will continue and that we will see more and more technology. But on the other hand, you also say that it will move more towards the background, that it will rather disappear and will be out of sight for us. So that's kind of a paradox, that we will have more of it but see less of it. And then you continue to suggest that this will allow us for something like unlimited scalability. So how do you think about these technology trends?
Yeah, thank you for this question. I like this proposition very much, and we've been thinking a lot about this proposition in our research. So let me first of all resolve this paradox. When it comes to technology, how it is used today and in the future, we can indeed see both developments. On the one hand, you have technology that is simply present in a ubiquitous manner, like in Mark Weiser's bold thesis a couple of years ago. So it vanishes and you don't see it anymore. So if you get back to this home example, in future homes, you will have so many sensors integrated that you don't even know that they are there. And they can help, for example, to provide better services regarding your home, smart home services, and things like that. So this is an example for the scenario where technology just will disappear. On the other hand, we have technologies that get back out of the background. Yes, so you have, for example, smart robots. You have cobots with whom you collaborate in your business or private activities. And this is where technology becomes more and more present. So you interact with technology in a more or less human-like manner. Yeah, because you can interact with natural language, for example. Technology like robots has capabilities of communicating, making self-dependent decisions. So, and I think this is not a paradox, but we will see both developments at the same time. And regarding unlimited scalability, the basic idea is that technology won't be the limiting factor for many business models anymore. Yeah. So in former times or in the past, it was the case that you had to take care of calculating capabilities, for example, storage capacity and things like that. And because everything will be in the cloud in the future, we don't have to care about any such limits anymore. And this is what we mean by unlimited scalability.
Okay, interesting. This just reminds me of an article by Nicholas Carr, probably something like 20 years ago or so, with the heading "IT doesn't matter." Well, his claim at that time was it's basically a commodity, so it's not a differentiating factor in competition. Is that the same you're suggesting here, that basically we will have IT everywhere in the background, but then it's such a commodity that it doesn't matter? Or is there still something to be won with being really innovative in finding the newest technology and the newest applications of the technology?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for this hint. It's funny because the first lecture I ever did was about Nicholas Carr's thesis that IT doesn't matter anymore. So I'm very well familiar with that one. So the basic thing that Nicholas Carr proposed was that technology doesn't matter in the sense of technology as hardware, yeah, and technology of very fundamental software. So the key thing is that we more and more abstract from the underlying hardware. So in the meantime, yeah, we had the impression this will become more important because we were talking about smartphones, we were talking about smartwatches, we were talking about GPUs, necessary for doing computations in the artificial intelligence area. But basically, the idea was that technology will go back into the background, and we don't need to take care about all these limiting factors. And yes, from a hardware perspective and from a storage perspective, this statement is still true and closely connected to what we mean by unlimited scalability today and in the future.
Okay, thanks a lot. This video belongs to a two-part series on Beyond Digital. So the next interview will be with our colleague, Professor Björn Heckel, who was your partner on that study. And with Björn, we will talk more about technology, but then also about organizations and employees. So Max, thanks a lot for today. Thanks for sharing your insights.
And thanks for having me. It was my pleasure.
Bye-bye.